Hello everybody, as promised we're going to have another video here on how you can use Microsoft Excel to create your own histogram. Now we discussed what a histogram was, but we're going to follow a procedure very similar to the one that we used in our children's movies, but we're going to create it with a different data set. So let's go to our desktop and let's pick this out. In Canvas, of course, we come to our lecture in week 2 and we find the data set Oscar. So let's select Oscar right here. We're going to open this with Excel. And just as we did before, we have our data set, right? Here it is, our data set. And we see we have actresses and actors, right? And the only data in this data set is the actresses' ages and the actors' ages, right? And this is when they received their first Oscar, right? So, and you'll notice that there's 82 of these. Total, right? We were in cell 83. The first cell, though, was the title, the variable name. So that's actually useful to us because we're going to use this data, and what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a histogram for our ages. So let's start with the actresses, and what I'm going to do is just like what I did in my last case. If I want to create a histogram or a bar graph, I'm going to create a pivot table. So I'm going to select my data. And I'm only going to select one column at a time. This is much easier to do just one column at a time. Make sure you don't select blanks and go ahead and copy your data. I'm going to actually skip that. I'm going to hit Control C and I'm going to open up a new sheet. Boom. And I'm going to paste my data in there. So there's my data. Now really you don't need to do anything else right here. Don't unhighlight it. Just go ahead and keep it highlighted if you're doing this. And now what you're going to do is you're going to insert a pivot table. We insert a pivot table using the following method. Go to Insert along the top ribbon. Go to where it says Pivot Table. Select that link. You'll see a menu pop up for creating a pivot table. Select OK. And there it is, right? There's our pivot table. Now we're going to do the same kind of thing that we did before. Select actresses. Now you see that it has a total right there. And I don't know, that's not very good for me. I want to actually get a count right here, so I'm not getting a sum. Let's change that. What we're going to do is we're going to change this, value field settings. We don't want a sum, right? Anytime Excel sees numbers, it wants to add them up. We don't want to get the total age of our actresses, so we're just going to go to count. So select count and hit OK. All right, count of actresses. And we're going to select rows. There we go. Now check out what happened right here. Right here are the ages of our actresses, and you see that sometimes it has each age listed one by one. Well, this is way too many categories. We can't deal with this, right? This is the kind of data where we want to put it into a data range. So I'll show you how you do this. Now that we have our data, make sure that you have your cursor somewhere within the table where it has the actress age, right? Just select one of those things. Now we're going to go up here on the ribbon to where it says Group Selection. Go ahead and click on that. We're going to use our own ranges because we're going to compare actors and actresses' ages. So I'm going to start with 20. And I'm going to end at 80. And it groups it by 10, right? This is sort of an automatic feature. It goes through and it groups it for you. But we want to start at 20 and go up to 80, counting by 10, right? This is our class width, or our bin width sometimes we called it. So select OK. Look at that. There were 27 actresses from ages 20 to 29 and 34 actresses from ages 30 to 39. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to leave that relative frequency right there. We're just going to leave it as frequency. So this is our total right here. We're going to rename that. Let's call that frequency. Oh, can't change that. Okay, so we're just leave it as total. That's fine. So we're just counting up the numbers of items that are in there. Next, we want to submit a chart. We're going to create a histogram. Let me show you how I'm going to create a histogram. In a histogram, right, for my table, wherever I'm at right here, I just want to go through and select a pivot chart. And kind of like what we did with our bar chart, we're going to select the column, what's called a clustered column. So let's go ahead and select that, hit OK. Now you get this clustered column, but that's a bar chart, right? What we actually want is a histogram, right? So this is frequencies of actress ages. Actresses, ages. And what we're going to do is that we want to make this into a histogram. So we go up here to where it says pivot chart on the ribbon. We go to where it says design. You're going to choose quick chart layout, and the chart layout you want is right here. We want the bars to touch. So we're going to click on that. We're going to scrunch this in a little bit here. And it's kind of hard to tell where one bar begins and one bar ends. So this is where you're going to need to use a little bit of formatting. What you can do is you can go up to where it says format on the top right here on the menu. It says shape fill and shape outline. Let's change that shape outline color to one where we can separate those out, right? There we go. Now we see black lines that separate each of those categories. The other thing is that since it's actresses, I don't know. I want to get a differences in color. So I'm going to select this color. I'm going to actually fill it with something that I like a little bit better for my actresses. So I'll choose sort of this orange. This is a really nice shade of orange right here. Orange with an accent right there. This is my frequencies of actresses' ages, right? So I can separate those bars and I can see them pretty clearly here. Well, let's go back to sheet 1, right? We want to try and do this with our actors, right? So let's go through the system again and how we're going to create our frequency and histogram. So we're going to select actors. Remember, you have to have a title and no blank spaces. So just copy the actors' ages. I clicked and dragged with my mouse. I copied, Control C, and sheet 4, no. Sheet 2, no. Let's go to a blank sheet 3 and go ahead and paste. I click Control V to do that. So my data is highlighted. There's no blanks in there. I have my title. So I'm going to head Insert, Pivot Table. And I'm going to allow it to open up in a blank sheet. There we go. It creates a brand new sheet. So I select actors. And I'm going to go down to rows. And I don't want a sum of actors' ages, right? I don't want to add them up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Value Field Settings. I'm going to change that to Count. And OK. So these are counts of actors' ages. Here they are. But I want to group. And remember, I'm comparing this to actresses. So I'm going to have to modify the way I make a group selection. So I make sure my cursor's onto the table here in the column for actors. I hit Group Selection. I'm going to start at 20, so I'm just going to go ahead and enter the number 20. And I want to end at 80. So I'm going to enter 80. I'm going to let it group by 10, which it automatically does here, and hit OK. There's my frequency for actors' ages right here. Now I want to create my pie chart, or my bar chart. So I clicked on Clustered Column right here. Now I go up to Design. I select Quick Layout. I go down to this design right here. It's Layout 8. I get my pivot chart right here. Now I'm going to format that so I can read it a little bit more clearly. So I'm going to get my shape outline. I want my shape outline here in black for my colors, right? Select the bar, then hit Shape Outline. Shape Fill. Let's choose a different color. We want to make sure that we select all of our bars here. In a second. Select bar. There we go. Now shape fill. Let's shape fill with let's see, a lighter shade of blue so I can differentiate my bars from one another. There we go. There's a nice shade right here. I'm going to scrunch this together. And this is frequency of actor ages. Who received their Oscar, right? And there it is. That's a nice little chart. Okay, so the instructions on our Microsoft Word document right here is to create a data set called Oscar, create a frequency table for actors' ages, and a frequency table for actresses' ages. So let's copy and paste those on into our chart here. So I'm going to back to Excel. I see sheet 4 was my actresses, so I'm going to select my table right here. And I'm going to just make sure I select the whole table. Control C. Go to Word here. Control V. Leave a line. Let's go to count of actors. So I'm going to go back to my Excel spreadsheet, sheet 5. I'm going to select my count of actors right here. Control C and copy. Control V. Right, there's my actors. All right, so next I want to put in my charts right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to select I'm going to get my frequency for the actors. So I Control C, right? I select the chart, hit Control C, go to Word, and I could just copy and paste that right there. Look at that. It's nice. And I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison. So I'm going to compare this. I'm going to just kind of shape it. I'm going to put my cursor, make sure it's blinking right there. I'm going to go back to Excel. I'm going to copy the one for the actresses. Here was sheet 4. Here's my actresses. So I copy that, Control C, go back to my Word document, Control V, and you know what? I'm gonna reduce the size of this so it can fit in. There we go. See, they fit side by side. So let me just kind of get those side by side comparisons, right? See, there it is. Look at that. Look at this frequency, right? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna shape outline here. I'm gonna put a nice black outline along the outside of this one too. There we go. Okay, look at my frequency diagrams here, right? The last question I ask is, does it appear that the distribution for ages is different for the actors and the actresses? Well, why do you think that is? Yeah, it looks like there is a little bit of a difference, right? So give me your answer to this question when you do it. And good luck. I'll see you in class.